O'clock, I'll call the meeting of the Finance Committee to order, 6 o'clock on March 19th. First on our agenda is to review the minutes of our last meeting, which was March 5th. I think everybody had a copy, has a copy.
Just one spelling error. Mark Porter, M-A-R-K, not M-A-R-C. I move that we accept the minutes as presented with the spelling.
Correction.
Where was this?
Second. Mark.
Second page, just a C to a K for Mark.
Page 2.
Follow up from the last FinCom meeting.
Yeah, where it says Mark 40 or where is he?
Here. Yeah, okay, thank you.
I'll second it. No one else
I think Dan already
I already did.
Yeah.
did. Oh, you already did, I didn't get it, sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to accept the March 5th minutes with the correction in the spelling of the name. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
Abstain.
I need to abstain, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
okay,
agree with them, but
okay.
because I worked.
Okay. Nothing in the mail, I guess.
No, there wasn't anything.
Okay. And I think, Bonnie, a while back you had asked about, and we were all concerned about cell phones. And so I've got this printout of them, and I think the administrator marked what department they are. So
Do you want me to copy that for people?
it's, yeah, 3 for administration. 1 is the TA, 1 is the maintenance person, 1 is the custodian, and there are 8 to the police department, 7 for highway, 1 is inactivated or disconnected, and 1 for the sewer. Do people want a copy or not?
I would like one.
Okay, and the thing about the number for the police is that some of them are just the connection for computer equipment or something like that.
I think so, but now when you said 7 for the highway, that doesn't sound right.
It doesn't? Okay.
That's a lot for the highway.
No, it doesn't sound right.
Maybe it's the other way around, maybe it's something for the police.
I didn't question it. I will, though. Now.
How many highway workers do we have, full-time highway workers?
I don't know. 3 and then
Well,
no, wait a minute.
No, there's more than that.
there's
5 maybe.
2 foremen and then Tommy and a couple of others, or 3 others.
I'd have to look.
Yes,
but-
I
okay.
don't think we have 7.
No.
No.
So whether that's another data line or something over there, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess they use what? I think they, well, I'm just saying from my experience, we use cellular data line for the laptops in the cruisers so they could communicate. That was the system we used. So
Okay.
I'm not familiar
Yeah.
if that's what the police department uses also.
Okay, that could be for theirs.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have it for highway, though.
No, I don't think so. I don't think they don't have laptop communications with her.
So, all right, we'll give out the copies and then I will, did he have to go downstairs? It said
Yeah,
there.
yes,
Sandra left, yeah, okay,
Sandra's, I think she's not.
yeah. 6 o'clock she would leave, yeah. All right,
Maybe Thompson.
I'll try to find out more about it then for another time.
Just seems like a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
Can we ask you some questions about this, Deb?
About the phones?
Are they all on one plan, or does each department have its own individual plan? 'Cause I know at the farm, we can get like umpteen lines at a much cheaper rate than we can.
There's separate billing, so I'm not sure. But there is separate billing, I'm not really sure.
Because it makes a
Everybody-
huge difference on the cost. Whether you have 10 bills come in versus one big bill with a division of who has what. And I know they can be
There's separate
divided up.
billings, I'm not sure what the plans are.
Okay. Movable blood bank right there, I bet you that's their
Did you
last.
have an extra one of those?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, well, no, she's got
That
two.
one's a-
I have 8 of them, so here's plenty
She's
here.
got two, so.
Oh, yeah, I've done that before. Did everybody get one? at
Yeah.
once?
Yes, I know one.
Okay.
Yeah, so some of these, I think it, I don't know, I'd have to look at it,
Yeah, I wonder where he got, well, this is printed up, he's made it up. I mean, it isn't like, oh no, it's Verizon.
It looks
Well,
like they're
maybe-
all under Verizon, looks like a,
yeah,
Yeah,
but maybe some of them are listed more than once,
oh,
maybe, I'd have to look,
I didn't, yeah.
I see Tommy Walker on there twice.
One, two, 3, 4.
but some of them say
Oh, those are all-
email and data, some of
Yeah,
them
email
say
and
Okay, so
something
all
else.
those are all.
the PD ones where you see air card, those are the ones you use for the laptops or the iPads and their cruisers, they call them air cards. That's for those computers.
Okay.
They got them at different times or something.
All right, well, we'll
Some are 49,
study it a little
some
more and
are
I'll
49,
try to get more information.
Yeah,
14, I don't know.
Maybe contact the departments.
25 minutes. after
Okay.
the
Well, probably,
Yeah, they do.
No, it looks like there's
You
a
should
bunch
wait.
from Tom's
You can't
phone
do
calls.
Better than that.
It looks like Tom has one and then there's just 2 others.
They just take
maybe you
the
should wait
others
until
and we
Willie
don't
gets
use
back,
their
see
old
if we understand what this means, because
You know,
I,
'cause you got Highway 1, and you got Tom Walker, and you have
I
Highway 2.
only wanted this for reference.
So.
Just see how many we had and what was out
Right,
there.
Yeah,
maybe
okay,
it'll
so
be
Tony's-
the date,
So
Lois, we can look
Tony's-
into it.
Sounds like there's 3.
Tony's seeing that there's a lot of them that are the same number, so they're,
Oh,
so that's why, it must be.
Sounds like there's a Highway 1, there's a Highway 2, and then there's a Tom Walker.
Alright, so that makes sense.
And all the Tom Walkers have the same number.
Right,
oh, okay.
So it sounds like there's 3.
I didn't check them.
Well,
that sounds more like it.
Lois, I only ask this for reference now, maybe we can discuss it after we get all the budget things done, because I know we have
Yeah.
a lot to do, so.
Okay.
Thank you, Deb.
Sure.
for- Yeah,
Yeah, that's all.
I don't want to take away from
All right,
Okay,
tonight.
that makes sense.
That makes sense.
and Debbie's gonna do her budget request. She's next.
Okay,
And we had a copy of that earlier, didn't we?
right, what I submitted earlier was, with just the expense part filled in, because the other lines are wages. We can talk about the expense part first, and then I've got a couple of things to say about the other accounts.
This is the increase then of $95 you're gonna pay.
Yeah, first.
Yes.
And then I'd like to go on to some other
Sure.
things. Basically, this just barely gets it up to a small budget. I mean, before it was a very small budget,
Right.
695 in all. I put in 400 for meetings and seminars. Now to go to the school at UMass, which is a very valuable thing to go to, it's 290. And then the Accountants Association does have other meetings throughout the year, which sometimes I go to and sometimes I don't. Currently, I've been splitting the costs with Irving for going to these meetings, but realistically, this budget should be able to stand by itself. If someone was
Yeah.
to be just Northfield's accountant, they'd need to pay for the whole thing. The rest of it is kind of more or less just reallocating a few things. I put a little more in mileage because
Yeah.
going to the meetings again, I've been splitting the costs.
Do you, when you don't just take the knowledge from Northfield, you use it in Irving?
The knowledge,
The knowledge that you learn?
I erase my brain when I leave Northfield.
So.
No,
So,
it's
in
fair,
my mind,
it's
it makes
fair.
sense.
No, it's fair
that
that
It's
it's
half and
split.
half, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it
But
is,
if somebody, if she's no longer here, then we're gonna have to pay the whole boat.
But that's a
Right.
whole new budget. And there's a justification for that. That's all. I don't see anything wrong with splitting it.
no, there's nothing wrong with splitting it. And I didn't mean that there was. I'm just
No,
saying
no.
that this budget
Yeah.
should be sufficient to hold its own.
She's saying if someday there's a person holding this job in Northfield and a different one holding it in Irving, they'd be paying the full charge in
Well,
East Town.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, right now, there's no plans on doing it differently, is that correct, or you?
There's no definite plans on doing it differently, let's put it that way. I'm not gonna be here forever.
You're not?
No, I'm not. I'm not gonna say that there's no date set.
No.
There's no date set.
Oh, yeah, I
That's okay.
understand that. All I'm saying,
But-
it makes sense that it's.
But I
split.
think it's
That's all.
time to start thinking along those lines. And that brings up the next point. On the financial assistant, I'd left that blank, figuring we'd just put the COLA and everything on it, but, giving it more thought, we've come up with an idea of, right now, what we have is a person that's doing the payroll, alternating between doing the accountant's side and the treasurer's side. And that's worked out really well. So she knows the payroll, she can substitute for either one. We don't have anybody that does the accounts payable or any general ledger. We don't have anybody that does any tax collecting. So with that in mind, we're looking to transition. Perhaps the person we have now would be interested more in learning more about the tax collecting side and getting another person for a very small amount of hours to learn the accounts payable and some of the other accounting side of the job.
So are you talking about increasing more hours for the person who's there, or a new person altogether?
The person that's there will still work for us, but she doesn't really
She has a
want.
full-time
Right,
job.
she has another job, and so she doesn't really want more hours at this point here. And she didn't really want to get into the ledger side so much as she might be interested in tax collecting side. So we're talking about getting another person to work very few hours a week, three or four hours a week probably.
Is there someone in mind that would do that little few hours?
I know someone that might apply if we put it out there, yes.
We'd have to advertise.
Yeah.
Um,
It would be somebody that has another job.
Yeah,
sure.
And somebody that's interested in learning more about this kind of job. And the reason for that being, so that there's backup again, which has been a great thing for the payroll, but also in the eventuality that either the tax collector, treasurer, and or myself were to retire, that this person possibly might be trained in wanting to apply for the jobs, Or if not, they would at least be a great resource to help the person that comes in transition.
And one thing, you spoke about backup sort of for the tax collector. Tax collector position is a bonded position, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a consideration.
Yeah, perhaps the person would need to be bonded, yeah. Yeah.
'Cause it's about $100 a year to get bonded.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
not a lot.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just gotta pass
so
the test.
So,
are you thinking of,
so with that in mind, I was thinking of putting 7,000 in that line.
the one that's 3261 now?
Yeah.
7,000 requested.
So how many hours a week, whether it's one person or two people or three people, are you assuming that extra covers, did you say?
Probably 8 hours a week would be covered.
Okay,
The one now
Um,
works 4 hours a week or 3?
Well, most of the time she works 3, so there would be extra here.
Okay.
This would cover almost 8 hours.
okay.
But it varies as far as the current person working is often more around 3. The next one coming in, of course, she may do more when she's doing, yeah. So this would be 8.
Okay, so we'll put, what you're requesting then is 7,000 for the financial assistant.
Mm-hmm. And then the next part that I thought I'd bring up while we're on the topic is the job descriptions for the accountant and for the treasurer collector are being redone, relooked at. That may lead to going before the grading committee for an upgrade. And at budget time is the time to address these things. So if we provide for it in the budget, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to get it, because it would have to be approved by the grading committee. It would have to then be approved by the select board before it was actually put into effect. But the budget should provide for it. It shouldn't be left for a reserve fund transfer. In the past, the reserve fund has been used for salary increases, and that since then I've read that although it's not illegal, it's not best practice.
So what do you suggest that how
I'm
would we approach
suggesting that
that?
if we incorporate into the omnibus grade increases in the accountant line, in the treasurer line, and the tax collector line. Altogether, that would be about $9,300.
Is it?
So would it be 4,500 in each?
No, it's
Oh,
slightly different.
Okay.
Is it possible to have a separate line for salary adjustments? So if just say you want 9 and you decide that 4 is here, 3 is here, therefore
You
2 is here, can you
could.
actually move from there? Or is it better to
well-
say this is one line, and if something comes up somewhere else, because they're also talking, they passed the $18 an hour for the EMTs, and those people an hour a raise more. So that money's got to come from somewhere. And
See,
if we-
everything in the omnibus is aligned into itself.
Yeah.
So it would need to be some kind of special article. And then it would need to be, and then it's not really too specific as to where it goes, but I suppose if that was stated. I think it would be easier to provide for them in the lines that they belong in.
What happens
And-
if one is rated higher and there's no money in there to allocate? That's what
Well,
I'm concerned about.
well-
That's what I would be worried about, that if it's really rated,
I think
Because-
she's considering what it would
I'm,
go
I'm,
to.
I'm considering
what it
I'm
would be.
considering more than what's probably likely.
So where does the dollar for the eight, if the 17 is going to 18 for the workers coming from? They just going to absorb it? They have enough money to absorb that?
Well, I can't speak for them,
Right.
but the budgets that those are coming from are variable
Yeah.
hours involved
Right.
in all of them. So it's really hard for me to say whether they can or they can't because of the high variability in the number of hours that they have in their budget or that they have in any given year.
I think they,
So that would have to be up to the department head to decide if they really thought they could absorb that. And
yeah, and I think they have taken that into consideration. I think the select board probably, and may have asked them or whatever, or the administrator, I don't know.
I just hate to be in a situation where we don't have the money to cover it. I think it's good to do it. I want to be ready for it, but I think it makes sense that nobody is shorted. I know
Yeah.
the volunteer
I-
fire department
I
has,
think
when they run
it's-
out of money, they volunteer, and that's not fair.
No, I
Well-
don't think that's going to be a
I don't
problem.
think they do it too much
well,
now, but
well,
still.
yeah, a year-end transfer perhaps could cover those types of things if it's due to variable. These raises for the other departments, has that been voted on or is it being considered
Well,
or?
the selectmen voted it.
Was
Yeah,
it
the selectmen
17 or
voted
18?
$18.
They did?
I'm not sure.
They did? I thought it was 17.
And-
but they
and-
did
No, it
18.
was 17 during the year, but they just voted another 18
Yeah.
to start April
I think
1st.
that, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
did anybody notify me?
I have no clue. All I know is they voted it.
Okay.
I don't know, but the
And they're
select
still
board
gonna
voted
rate,
it.
they're gonna still go over those two job descriptions,
I
So-
think they voted it. So was it last meeting, 2 weeks ago?
Was it the 7th or the 8th that they met?
April 1st.
That's what I understood.
$100. I'll have to look into that.
But if your phone starts ringing, I might be understanding totally wrong.
No, it's probably true.
That's what I just wanted to make sure.
Well,
Because if
I'm,
you-
I'm just addressing right now
Sure,
the
yes.
part that I'm
But it
talking
opens up the
about.
whole thing.
But if other departments feel that they have enough in their budget to make those changes,
Okay,
then they
now-
perhaps do.
Mark spoke to us when he was here, that if there was his enterprise fund is tight. He has to fund any expenses there. So he asked us if there's any, he put in something for the COLA. And if it's different from that, he has to be notified because it affects
Right.
the other money allocated. But I think the others are understanding it, I think there was an issue.
Well, we normally just automatically apply the COLA.
Yes, oh
to-
yeah,
to-
definitely.
To those lines, but
In his case, it's a little different because of funding through his enterprise fund. He'll have to reduce some of the other accounts.
if we increase the
If-
budget,
yes.
but what they're talking about now is not increasing the budget.
Oh, no, I
absorbing
know what
it.
you mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So
But would,
Could we
you're
just
saying
look
to,
into a line item that we could use for steps out? It's got to be the right language that it could be done to, and money could be taken from that.
I'm
That'd be a
okay
special
with it
article.
going right into the accountant's. I talked to Debbie about this today because I was concerned putting it in before it's gotten to the amount she's talking about, which is going to take a couple of steps here. And I'm satisfied that, she's not, just because it's in there as Finance Committee recommended, she's not going to spend it. She knows it's got to.
I'm not worried about that. I'm wanting to make sure there's enough. That's all I'm saying,
We-
because
we
I
got enough.
know when they
but then,
We'll be
but
all
then-
right.
But then we'd have to, it would be, what I've calculated is enough for sure for what I'm looking at. If other departments feel that they may need more, then they should calculate that.
Okay.
And what I've got, if it was in a pooled account, isn't really including extra for those other contingencies.
No, but you are going to give us a figure to go with the tax collector and treasurer.
Right, I would,
Okay.
I would apply those to the final draft.
So
With
what
the
would-
understanding that, I don't wanna put them in there until I've presented it.
Okay, so I know you'll apply any COLA on here, but what should we put out there now for next year requested accountant salary?
I would give that to you next week, when I give you the omnibus.
Yeah,
Because,
basically, we,
because right now, we don't have the COLA either.
No,
yeah, and we don't really talk about salaries at all as far as doing that until the
But the
end, when
seven's
everything
in
is
here.
calculated, and if they have made the
now
$18.
tonight, we're gonna make some
Yeah.
decisions
Right.
here.
Yeah.
We've
And the
got to
7
come-
is in here.
Well,
Yeah, so
So-
we know COLA, she applies it, and that's the part that's, we don't have to vote the exact amount, because we vote a COLA and she applies it, so.
I
All right.
calculated these and I added them all together to give you a figure that would be increasing the omnibus roughly 9,329. And it would be allocated between those three accounts.
Can we just say
9,000,
300
even figure?
9,329.
among three,
Deb.
why don't you just say 9,400, 9,000?
Or 95.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Round it off.
Yes.
Or
it doesn't,
95.
Yeah.
it doesn't come out right. To divide by three,
But they're not all equal. That's what Deb's
That's it.
telling us.
That's why
So
it's
if
different.
it's
Yeah.
I'm just-
95.
Yeah, I
I'm
won't
putting the
divide it by-
theory out here, and I figured you'd see all of the end result after we put the COLA in.
okay.
Yeah, and get
So,
everything
so I
together.
just
Still,
kind
we
of
know.
calculated it all out and put one number here. I didn't break it out into that detail.
Okay,
Somebody
Because,
else
because
did
all of the
except
wages are
Nicole?
gonna change from what's in
Yes.
what I handed out
Yeah.
tonight,
yeah.
if you do a COLA.
So she's gonna have all that information for us next week after everything is set and after the selectmen has figured out if there's an $18 per hour increase, that's all gonna be figured out in salaries.
Well, if there's supposed to be adjustments made to the budget, then now would be the time to do it.
Yeah.
And if departments have felt that they could absorb it, then.
Which I think is the case in
Then if
some
that's-
cases.
Then
anyway.
if that's the case, then there's nothing more to do with the
Yeah.
budget.
Now, these increases would be a third, or is it?
No,
No, it's
no.
not. I didn't think so.
No,
No,
it's,
But it's sort of the same percentage applied to each one, or
No.
something like that.
The same methodology. Let's
Well,
put
it
it
Yeah.
depends
that way.
what the
Yeah.
committee figures out. Maybe one, things haven't changed and the other one's changed more. One may be a
Well, this
little
would
bit
allow,
and the other, yeah.
well,
So,
this would allow for what would possibly
there's no
happen.
bottom line decision yet.
No, and there probably wouldn't be until it's too late to get it into the omnibus. That's why we're putting in ahead of
So,
time.
Theoretically, we have to add $9,000 for the bottom line of this paperwork that we have now. Because the 7 is already in there. We add
Okay.
9 in it.
Okay, if we wanna just move.
Is that theoretically?
That's theoretically, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so if we wanna move right into the paperwork, do we wanna do that? The handout? Do you want me to keep talking? and go
Well,
into
I'd like
that?
to go
well,
through
let's
them.
make sure your budget's all set and then we go on.
Yeah, what I want to do is go through the budgets and just say, okay, for those that had increases, we got explanations, is everybody satisfied, and we move right on. Then vote the whole thing, that's the way I want to do it. And then we can go to the model that you've got here.
Okay, cause there's things in this model that are unsure. Anything that you see with
All
a
right.
kind of gray area there are
Yeah.
things that, well, the moderator, that's just because we didn't get a formal budget request and never spends the $10 anyway, so
Yeah.
that's there.
But yours is not that different than what we got as budgets, except a few spaces, so why can't we go through
Just to go through here.
So
rather than each
if
individual?
there's something, Debbie, when I go through these budgets, that is affected by what you've got, you can speak up on it. How's
Okay,
that?
I'll just make the comment that the things that I wanted to just say were
Okay.
maybe not carved in stone, or the things that are in gray.
Okay, all right, I didn't look at it.
Yeah, you just like this.
Well, that's just
If you look at the last page,
How
you
many
see
Yeah.
salaries?
and she has $7,000 of grade here.
So you put in the
7.
Yeah, 7,000.
Okay, it's on the second page. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay, all right.
So the decrease in the 8 is already reflected in this in the police department?
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Do you want to, since this one is different, do you want to vote on this one separately? It's all right with me. We're going to vote on all of them one way or the other.
The 9,200 and
Well,
95.
accepting the way Debbie is
explain.
presenting it and explaining it. Yes, this plus whatever else that changes.
Okay. Do you want me to make a motion?
Sure.
To
Make a
accept
motion.
Debbie's? Okay.
I make a motion, we accept Debbie's budget as she has described.
Why are we accepting Debbie's budget? We've never accepted anybody else's. We only listen.
We've got to vote tonight to whether we're going to recommend these
Accepting
budgets.
it is different than recommending, in my mind.
Okay, let's use the word recommend.
Okay, recommend and accept.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Okay. The rest we won't vote separately unless we have a question detail on it. The Ag Commission had increase of $200 was explained to us. If you could stop me if there's something you want to ask about it, but otherwise I want to move through them. The assessor's budget, there were some changes and they explained those to us a couple of times, I guess. Beth, at one time, Bob McEwen was in on it, and then we revisited to talk about the technology and so forth, right? Okay. Building inspector went up $300 on that request. And that was office supplies. So forth. Conservation Commission was up $16. Council on Aging is level. Constables is level. EMS is down some because of decrease in anticipated revenue. And that's the enterprise fund. Farms Library is level. Our own finance committee, we increased on our expenses. And we went up on the reserve fund that we have.
I don't have an increase in the expenses.
All right, let's see. Decrease?
Yeah,
Decrease.
Decrease.
I'm sorry, decrease, you're right, $11 decrease. But you got the increase on the reserve fund, right?
The reserve fund is, I think, back to what it was before.
It's
See,
40.
because this reflects a budgetary adjustment, which is a transfer out. So
Okay.
basically, it's level funded.
At 45.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The fire department, now, any of them that put in a COLA, Debbie takes into account what we actually approve. There was, yeah, he's got the increase in wages in there for the $18.
I think I think he meant to increase the wages to reflect the $17.
Yeah,
That was.
I've written 17.
That was
You're right.
included.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was included last year, so,
okay.
but,
There again, it's one that's uncertain, what you said.
right.
Yeah. And he also put in the one that's, I call emergency management, it's also called civil defense, and that's level. One thing I want to call to your attention so that when we talk about the articles, the way the article is written, it says new truck. What he put in on his capital plan here is a used ladder truck, and that's the way that's been. Okay. That's emergency management. We got the COG assessment. That's an assessment, so that's not an option. Board of Health, there were some changes there, and they explained those to us.
Can I just ask Deb about the Board of Health? There's 2 lines for the Board of Health secretary.
One of them is left over from when it used to be in a separate line.
Is there any sense in having both and having them run blank or one?
It doesn't need to be in this document. We can get it out of this document. It exists in the accounting system because
Correct,
the
but it just looks
history.
like we're leaving the,
Right,
to me,
right.
if I was reading this, it looks like we have 2
The
secretaries
software,
for the Board of Health,
right,
that's all.
the software generates that
So,
line,
okay.
but we should get it out of here, yeah.
Thank you.
The Board of Health, we had decided we'll put off until we meet with the, Highway Department, put off until we meet with the Select Board. And I think we had spoken last year after we did some transfers for them that we weren't going to forget that.
What was that again, please?
Remember last year when there was some end of the year transfers, we said we were going to keep those
But for
in
who?
the Highway Department.
Highway, okay, yes, okay, yep. Yep.
Okay. But we're not going to act on that one tonight with all these others. Historical Commission is level. Library, they were in early on, slight increase, but that was all explained as to why they have to have certain numbers too. Okay, Memorial Day funding is the same. Open Space Committee is the same. Planning Board was reduced, along with Dan. I think Dan's was reduced when we get to that. But remember initially he had sent the word that it was level, and then when he actually sent it in, they were able to reduce it somewhat. And the police, we had explanation on those. Recreation is level funded. Retirement system, we take the figure that, but now, I think you've done this probably, Debbie. There's a
Discount,
discount if you pay in full by,
so the
it says for July 1st. So we do that so
we
that
do
we get
that,
the
yes.
lower amount.
186, 652,
Yeah,
yep.
okay, thank you. Select Board budget, we need to hear from the Select Board on that. I don't think they've had a chance to do it yet. So we're not including that in our approval. The sewer enterprise fund, I don't know why I wrote in there something about mine. Was there something in there for 43,000 on the loan or something? I don't remember.
Right. The loan's gonna be, the loan interest and principal have gotta be changed from the, that's a copy from last year's, that wasn't what they turned in, right?
No.
Right.
It's not last year's. I don't.
Well, oh, that's modified to be the article, cause theirs is gonna be an article rather than in the omnibus. You won't find it in
Okay.
here, this is just the omnibus.
Okay,
But their article will include their proper debt service.
okay. So what we're approving is the enterprise fund, let's see.
Well,
course, they have to pay that article, too.
Well, yeah, but as they submitted for their costs
Yes,
and expenses.
yeah. Now, the difference between the sewer enterprise debt and the EMS debt is that the town is paying the ambulance, off the new ambulance, paying that loan, whereas the sewer is self-sufficient on their own loan. Okay, so yes, sewer is on there for approval. Okay, tax collector. Now, that's where you want a difference in the wages.
Is it $9,200 or are you going $9,400 there?
Going.
It's only gonna be part of that.
It's not equally proportioned.
Again,
No.
yeah, no.
It's not. That's why it's, I mean, I know Deb is making the best guess that she can.
Yes.
Well, no, there's gonna be a number in the budget.
But it's not like 1/3
I
of
wasn't
that.
Right.
expecting that we were gonna approach it this way. I thought we were gonna approach it as a holistic thing and then allocate it afterwards. Because really, the number that you see there is gonna be adjusted by whatever COLA. So I was gonna
Yes.
put all the salary things
It's just
together
9 at
next
the
week.
end, the bottom line, we know
Yeah.
it's 9, but we don't know exactly who's gonna get what.
Right.
That's why I said we had 9 or
But it will
95,
be in the
whatever we said.
budget. It will be
Yeah.
allocated to
Right.
those lines.
So what I'm saying, when we say we will approve it, it's with that in mind, if that's the way it's gonna be. Okay, town clerk, came up with a reduction of $1,350. Anybody objecting to that one? Yes, not. Okay, thank you.
Dan is.
And treasurer would be the same as the tax. I don't mean the same amount, but the same situation. And otherwise, it was level funded, I think. Yes. Okay. And Veterans Memorial was level funded. ZBA had a $116 increase. We did not have them in, but it showed up in wages, apparently. It all depends on how many meetings they have to have, how many hearings, as to how many hours of,
I think they just rounded it.
probably. If it was 2,884, they
Yeah.
rounded 3,000. Anybody have a problem with that one? Okay, and the Veterans District is an assessment, and so that is $6,293.36. Okay, what I'd like is on those that we have said we're okay on, and not holding up, we're holding out highway and selectmen's accounts. I'd like to have a vote to approve recommending these others. Similar to what you, the motion you made.
Yeah, recommending.
Yes, recommending.
I just want to note in there before we actually do that, that this budget from Deb, whoever did this up, actually reflects that we took the 300 out for Alexander also.
For the Alexander Hall.
Right.
Yeah,
It's already zeroed out, it's one of your shaded places.
that's true. There
Yeah.
wasn't anything submitted
yeah.
from them since
2013.
2013.
So I'll mention that to the select board too when they're here. Right?
Right, that's kind of why that was in the gray area.
Right,
To,
yeah.
Oh, okay, and I see what you're
to
saying.
draw your attention to that.
Yeah. Okay.
So selectmen and highway are out of what we're voting.
Correct.
I move we accept the omnibus budget with those 2 exceptions. Highway and selectmen's budgets out.
You're saying except, we want to recommend. Did you say
We
recommend?
want to
Yeah.
recommend the omnibus budget,
Yeah.
except we're leaving selectmen and highway budgets out of that.
I'll second that.
Okay,
Maybe you also want to make sure that the PBRS figure is right, the tech school
yeah,
is right.
okay, with the exception of tech school and
Schools,
PBR.
And
PBRS. That's a good point.
schools and selectmen and highway, 3 groups.
Okay, 4. Oh, schools, all right, they're
Schools.
separate, they're 2 separate.
Schools,
But,
highway,
got it.
selectmen, okay.
Any discussion, further discussion? I'll tell you about Pioneer and where it stands and so forth, or it doesn't stand. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Might as well tell it now. I don't agree with what was in the paper today because I was at that meeting and I didn't hear the same thing, I guess.
Oh, that's interesting.
Tonight, Thursday night, this week, they will be voting on it. And I thought I had that with me. But anyway, what did I tell you? The figure was about 5-something% increase
Yeah.
for us.
You told me it was a 5.39% increase, and that dollar amount increase would be 240,731. And as a placeholder, I have incorporated that in this document.
They haven't finalized it. Last week was the public hearing. And then this week, Thursday night, the school committee is meeting. And of course, they'll have the recommendation of the budget subcommittee. And that's when we'll know what the assessments are. And
What about the placeholder? I'm sorry, I don't see it.
Well,
TRS someplace?
it's in the 300 series. It's run kind of roughly by numbers, so it's 01,
300,
3,
okay, yeah.
310.
So it's before the highway.
Yes.
Just before that.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. PBRS assessments, safety, elementary school maintenance.
oh, over here.
Capital assessment.
Yeah. Okay. And the other thing is whether there's going to be, and there will be articles. And one that's been talked about, excuse me, is the deficit in the school lunch program. What was presented last week was they want to put $50,000 into the budget. It's not clear about
To
that.
cover part of that or to offset some increases they may have over the year? What is that? Why is the 50,000?
It
And
would,
no article came
No.
in on time, correct?
the what?
No article came in on time.
That's correct. That's correct.
And our article deadline has already come and gone.
However, the select board can vote to open it for
Right.
something else. And they have a small amount, I thought I had to figure 12,000, something like that, for painting or something like that, articles. Not huge this year. There'll be more talk this week about this school lunch deficit. We first heard there would be an article and the towns would have to cover it. And I asked, that's when I told you I had asked for 3 years, Bernardston supported that at that time. So there'll be more talk on that Thursday night. That 50,000 they thought was going to cover this year's plus some to go toward the deficit. But it's kind of fuzzy in my mind about how it's all going to work, because that's quite a substantial deficit to talk about chipping away at with small amounts like that.
I
So,
think they were hoping for both.
Pay, double dip?
yeah.
They were hoping to be able to put some of their in their regular operating budget.
Okay.
This is slowly moving it into
Yes,
that. And
yeah.
then it will take them forever to do that way. So they're hoping the towns will somehow help them do that. That's how I understood it.
Okay, because
They're
I,
willing to take some in their operating, and then they're hoping that we'll help reduce some of
okay,
the big budget.
that is because there was some, after the meeting, somebody was asked, are you going to submit the article? And not me, somebody else. And they said, no, the school should come from the school committee.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's an issue to be dealt with, this week. Okay.
We're all going to be glued to watching it.
You know what? There's a live, I catch them usually
They're
later.
live.
Oh, okay. 3 hours last week.
I watched the rerun of it.
Hopefully you fast forward.
Okay. I sent to you what I got from the administrator on the articles. It's a little different this year than having, well, I've got some
The
of the
capital
articles,
article, right?
so, it's what?
Just capital, I, for this too.
Yes,
so.
yeah. And, you know, okay, capital R. So, we need to vote on some of those as to whether we're supporting them or not. And in most, well, I have the actual article in some cases, most cases. Started out, these are what I got. These are the money articles. Okay, there are other articles besides that, so we'll get into that. All right.
Ever get a full set of articles?
They haven't been, I don't think they've been done up yet.
Nobody's got them yet.
I know.
The warrant has not yet been fully prepared. The select board is meeting tomorrow night
Tuesday, 22nd.
and again on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a Shellbridge meeting with update with Rosenberg up at the elementary school at 6:30. I think the select board's meeting at 5:30.
Yep, and then they're going there at 6:30.
Yeah, because they are going to finish up some of the things they won't have for tomorrow night, and won't have had.
So
had
are we going to just go over the money articles now?
Right now, yes.
Okay.
Then we'll go on with the other. Okay,
This list in here doesn't seem quite the same as.
the cruiser went up. It was on the plan, I think, for 45, wasn't it? And remember, I asked him about it, and the cost has gone up since the.
Maybe,
Made
there's a
the plan.
difference here.
Now, Debbie, has he talked to you about the source of the funds?
Well, basically,
It's
the
right
source,
here.
his
They're right here.
recommendations are here.
Right here.
I know,
Yeah.
but has he talked to you about
Where they're coming from?
confirming those sources?
Well, I had a copy of it, and I did confirm that the free cash equals the free cash that we have. Raise and appropriate, transfer, yeah.
The amounts are okay?
I'm on board with that.
Okay, all right. You want to take them one by one or go through all of them? Go through all of them if you want, because we've mostly had explanations, or they've been in the plan.
So, can we back up a minute before we start talking about these? I need a little more info from Deb, since we just got these. How much money do we have to play with?
Okay.
Yeah,
We're not playing.
it's all
Well-
play money.
Well, basically, yeah, if you want to hear that part first, you have enough to do that.
We're okay on all of these.
You have plenty enough to do that.
Including put money over into stabilization?
We hope so.
How much?
Kinda.
Well-
Well,
wait
that's why
and
I want to
see?
know play money before I,
Well, if you look at the back sheet,
yeah,
the last sheet,
yeah.
That's not this, right?
with the articles that are listed here, with the other things as they are in the front, see that maximum allowable levy, and then the amount under maximum allowable levy, you've got that much left. So, yeah, if you're concerned about the tax rate, you could put half of that into stabilization and probably still have a tax rate that's about what you've got now.
See, that's what we've got to think of. Whether we're spending up to the maximum allowable, or whether we keep it down for the sake of the tax rate.
Well, I
It
think,
looks like we can do both. sort of.
well, if you go up to the maximum allowable, then you would be
Well,
increasing
you'd
the
be-
tax rate, because
yeah,
the maximum
okay,
allowable
right.
levy would,
Have I got just 2 pages or a duplicate, or are they?
there's a duplicate, because when I went to copy them, I wanted to put the cherry sheet receipts in gray, and I noticed that they hadn't, so I printed that again.
Yeah,
But then when I ran to the copy machine, I had both versions, so you've got
okay, that's all
you've
right.
got duplicate pages on the
Okay.
last two.
All right. So in other words, Bonnie, there is money enough. I think we can't, let's think about our stabilization fund amount after we go through this.
See, I don't like that thought process, because I really want to put money into stabilization.
I do too,
So
absolutely.
I would like to have sort of a sense.
Can I-
Well, the sense is you could do all of these articles here
Yeah,
and still put the amount under maximum allowable levy being the 863,281. You'd still be under the levy that much.
So you're
So-
telling me we could put $863,000 in
That's what it's-
stabilization?
Possible.
If
I
you
don't want
wanted the tax rate to be
set it at
1866,
And we're making allowances for an actual school budget? Because I know that at that meeting, people were advocating to get out, that they don't want any more cuts, they want the school budget higher. So,
other than, well, the budget figure that we talked about earlier, that Lois gave me, is what's in the front. So when things change in one
Which is-
place, of course, that changes the whole big picture.
That's right.
which is an increase over last year.
It is the increase that she
Came
to
heard,
5%,
that
right?
she heard at that
Five.
meeting.
Plus something.
I thought it was like
5%.
4.8, yeah.
Yeah.
The
And tech
increase she
school,
heard
they-
at that meeting, that she relayed to me from that meeting, is in here.
But we have no
But-
special articles yet,
That's correct.
No.
so I'm
Those articles were listed in the handout, the paperwork that we got there, but they were not allocated by town, and so I've asked for that.
What would that roughly be? Do you have any idea, Lois?
6,000 or 7,000 maybe?
In total?
Yeah,
All
for
the
us,
capital? Yeah,
for
okay.
us. Yeah, not over 10, I
Yeah,
don't
you were
think.
telling me maybe 10,
Yeah,
but
10.
is that all that
That
they,
seems weird, doesn't it?
is that all that
It's
they
a good, it's all
But
right.
doesn't it seem weird?
That it's low?
Yeah.
Low?
That's very low. I'm
Not
I'm
gonna
not
over-
asking for more, but it just seems like somewhere something is
Gonna get-
not quite
We have the
right.
shooter drop.
Right.
That's the only thing we've got that they had listed, so,
Okay.
yeah.
It seems like, yeah, maybe we've got some
We'll probably know
uncertainty
more.
about the information.
We're gonna know more because they're gonna vote on it this week, right?
Thursday
Thursday?
night.
So we'll know more next Monday about that?
Hopefully.
Okay, so
Yes.
Yeah.
we'll have a better idea of what we will have,
Yeah,
that we can afford to put into
stabilization.
stabilization. How much do we have in stabilization now, do you know?
Oh,
Is
look that up.
that the one that he gave us?
Yeah, that's from Jack, and I think that looks about right, just over $1 million.
What is the total there, Tony?
The one that Jack gave us, it says $1,024,542.
I don't know, I thought I looked up on your end of the month balances.
Well, no, the end of the month balances doesn't have stabilization in it. That's a year-end report. I do have a year-end report here somewhere. But my sense is that
Is that
is.
If this is what Jack gave
stabilization?
us.
No, okay.
And it has
So
the
he
last
had
from
researched it.
2010
Yeah,
to
okay. I found something
2018.
on here, Debbie.
Well, that's transfer to stabilization.
Okay,
That's it.
all
That's
right.
the budget amount that goes to stabilization.
Yeah,
Oh, wait a minute, here's my year-end report in here. Okay, so at the end of, this is at the end of fiscal 17, June 17, general stabilization had in it 688, but
Yeah,
in the
that's what it
current,
has, that's what it has here.
in the current year's budget, we have to transfer the amount that's budgeted in the current year's budget and add that to the 688. And we've got another 336 So,
So that's,
yeah,
that's right.
yeah,
1 million?
1,000,000 and change.
24,542.
Well, you don't need to get that exact. 'cause
1 million,
Well,
little
yeah.
over a
Because you
million,
haven't
little over a
added in the
million.
interest yet
Oh,
either,
yeah,
so,
added
yeah, we got
plus
interest too,
interest.
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
That's come up from 2010 when we had 81,000.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there were 3 years. when-
Years we didn't put anything in for a long time.
Anybody remember Hank? Every
Hank?
year he'd try for
Poor
it.
Hank,
and it
he's
was-
looking over our shoulders here. I
Yeah.
think he's smiling.
That's right. I think so.
Okay.
All right.
So, are we looking to,
I'm looking to go through these special articles that are listed on this. These are the money articles, first of all. That's what
but
you've
are we
got.
looking to put the tax rate back? Or are we looking to,
Well, let's see what this would do if we, well, Debbie says we're okay with it. We still have difference between what we're spending and what the levy limit would allow.
Well, just to answer Bonnie's question and maybe put some perspective on it. If you look at the page on the back and the articles as listed on the article page are all in there. And of course the other things that we talked about
right,
on the preceding pages, some things we don't quite know yet and some things aren't in there yet.
yeah,
Then the amount under the maximum levy is still the amount that you're under the levy. And the tax rate with those articles on the preceding page would be the 1680. But if you wanted to go all the way up to the levy limit, then it would be
1824.
no, the
1866.
1866.
Oh, 1866, yeah.
1866.
Yeah,
So you
that's
could-
$1.86 difference.
You could kind of split the difference and put the half of it in stabilization and keep your tax rate about what it is now. All other things
Around
being equal.
1824.
And of course, I always have, around
What?
1786 is what it is now.
Oh, okay,
Because
yeah,
we didn't
sorry,
go
yeah.
to we didn't go to the levy limit
Yeah.
last fiscal year
Oh, I
on
see.
purpose
Yeah.
Yeah.
because of
Okay,
The loss of
So,
revenue.
rather than the
balance.
1680.
yeah, because you didn't want to go all the way to the levy limit because it would have been too much of a hit on the tax rate.
Yeah.
So, and I have to put the caveat in here too that predicting these tax rates, there's a lot of other variables go in here that we don't know even at
They're
town meeting time.
estimates,
So there's estimates involved as far as the valuation, the new growth,
Cherry sheet.
Terry sheet,
Yeah.
local estimated receipts, you do have a conservative number that we've got built in here. I mean, we could go through the whole thing, but just to sum up, with what we've got here, you still have that 800 number. If you
Yeah.
wanted to split the difference and put half of it into stabilization, you probably could stay around the same tax rate as this year with the
Or we could buy
1786.
some.
786.
Or we could try to buy it.
I mean,
Be 400 some odd thousand.
yeah, but of course, there's still these other uncertainties
Right.
that we're
Sure,
talking.
sure. Well, I'm not looking to get a firm figure tonight necessarily
Well-
on the stabilization. I mean, have it in mind with what we're going through,
Right.
but where we've got the finances to cover these articles, we still don't have to recommend them if we don't feel they're appropriate, but that's why I'd like to go through these.
But I just wanted to, and I don't want to keep pounding this, Lois, but I want to make sure that I know where we're at. If we did all these, plus took half of what was left and put it in stabilization, so we could come up to 1.5.
A tax rate
A
would
plus
be-
a little
We
bit, 16,
Yeah,
1.6. We'd be able to keep the tax rate basically to what it is now.
Right,
Okay,
given no big drastic
right, big changes.
differences.
Okay, I
Right.
just
Right.
want to
But of course,
reiterate to
yeah.
people
If
listening.
property values
Oh,
change
yeah.
drastically,
Yeah.
that's something we don't know at this time. So predicting the tax rate and putting it out there like this is, we're heading right towards that number, that's,
It's, yeah,
Okay.
that's something that you can't
But-
really do with 100% confidence, but with our best.
you have to have
Right, I
something to work
understand all
out.
that. Yep.
And that accomplishes what I would like to see is not to have the tax rate go sky high. And it also accomplishes what I'd like to do of having some go into stabilization, continue that trend, so, okay? All right, next on the list is, I'll just go through, and if you want to stop me on anything, the police radios, public safety complex. We usually ask for a report at the end, Bernie, but is there anything new on that?
No, we, right now, we haven't had a meeting, they were waiting to see, the issue is still, we're basically in a hold until we have that title.
Yeah,
for the
and there's an article, non-money article, I think it is,
Yeah.
for that.
For that.
Okay.
And the other thing too is, there is also talk with the OPM that's in flux right now on the issue there. The project manager,
Oh,
because there was a change.
That one left that you had.
Yeah, that's correct. He left the firm and the town is in the midst of trying to settle that issue. So,
Okay.
but right now, that's all I know so
Okay.
far. We have not had any meetings to update us.
So this
on the
article
status.
for 68,825.
Yeah, that was to move to the next level because we postponed it
Yeah.
to the annual town meeting and we're waiting to see, again, that would be the next due diligence of checking the
Yeah.
site and seeing would dictate to us potentially the size of what we could actually build or what we actually could build for a structure there.
Okay.
And that's what's the next step that was recommended by the OPM.
All right, now the next is it says here, new ladder truck, but if any of you, I have my copy of the,
It's used.
It's a
it
used
says
vehicle.
used on his
Yeah.
capital
Yeah,
request.
well, new to us, but used.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, that's 300, I don't know what it costs, 350,000.
You're looking at a ladder truck today would probably be,
$500,000.
Oh, well,
Or
oh,
800,000.
no, probably.
you're looking
closer
probably
to
900,000 because
Okay.
a Quinn truck is about 750 and usually the ladder is actually, can be.
So are we going by these recommendations for sources? Because it says free cash.
That's-
And we're all understanding that it's used. I know Jack had commented at the last meeting for the select board that he would like to have that maybe put into stabilization. So if something comes to build up stabilization, since we didn't.
I don't know, I
who's
didn't
coming.
see that part of it.
Well, if you.
Well, you've got to, it would,
If
excuse
if
me,
you put it into stabilization,
Right, you
you
gotta
have
vote
to
it back out.
vote it back out, right.
yeah, and if you've got a deal on a used truck,
You want to buy it right away.
yes, you don't want to wait for a town meeting.
And you
So,
can't
okay.
bond for a used truck either, basically too. You just gotta purchase it outright.
Yeah,
It's not like purchasing a new vehicle.
Okay.
I remember something, well, I guess when I was at select board meeting, Jack, I
What was he
said
gonna put
used,
in?
and he looked kind of
Yeah.
surprised.
What was he going to put into money for stabilization for down the road?
I don't know amount, I know he wants to put money in it, but I
But it was
don't
more
know.
than that. I thought that was for something specific. Okay, all right, yep.
Okay, I will see that that is corrected to used. We're not getting anywhere near the cost of a new.
No, that would be a bargain next to what a
Yeah,
brand new vehicle
okay.
costs.
And then now there were items, there are several items needed. They like up at our building utilization committee would like at the elementary school, and I take it that they have prioritized them, and these are the requests they put in. Nobody has said no. It's what they put in for. So there's 100,000 for electrical wiring upgrades, and the entrance at the center building, 40,000 on that. Carpet and tiles, 6,000. Conservation Committee, that's an old bill, prior year bill, right?
Yeah.
Town Hall drainage, which has been going on, for years, 20,000. But they're talking about purchasing a strip of land to remediate the parking lot drainage issue. You remember one time they wanted to run sort of drainage out to Warwick Road, and
Right. Didn't
somebody
work.
objected and stuff. So I guess might be different people involved or something. So that's why that's going on. The OPEB.
That's different than what this says. Debbie's is different than what this is.
Okay, that may have changed. You might have there were
This
two.
is 134. This paperwork
Right.
says 131.
Right.
27. We're sticking to 134?
No, it's 131. That's, which version do you have?
Here.
You've got the 131. There was two versions. The 131 is the newer version.
It's the correct
131,
version.
427, which you have in your paperwork. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, right here.
It's time we started.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right.
It's time we started putting something into OPEB, and if we can do that, okay. What's this study update? I don't know about that though, Debbie. That's $900. We get a figure from them. Why do we have to pay for a study update? Do you know anything about
Because
that?
I think
Well, that's how we get the figure because
You've got to pay to get the figure of what you
well,
owe.
Yeah.
you don't. Well, no, you don't get it from. You don't get this figure from PARAC. You supply your figures to PARAC.
Oh,
And this is the bargain rate for small towns.
oh,
This is a
pay for the
this is a
service to get the dollars
CPA
back.
firm that kind of has their own OPEB light
Yeah.
version software for small towns that don't have
okay.
big.
$900 is not a lot of money to keep us on
Right.
track.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a lot
The
of money.
bigger towns, they have to hire an actuarial firm, and it's a lot more money.
Are we? Now, if we wanted to do something every year, are we going to have to spend? what,
Well,
nine-
every third year they do
Oh.
a bigger
An update,
update.
yeah.
So
Okay.
That's what they were saying.
All right.
so that's, but that's yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Cost of business.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
it's not that
I
that
hate that
figure is
statement.
determined outside. It involves
All
somebody
right.
coming here and analyzing our payrolls and
Okay.
our statistics of our people.
And we know that we've talked about that, we need an audit. If we're going to be borrowing money for the emergency services facility, we're going to have an audit. So that's what he's determined the amount should be. And forestry services, Bill Llewellyn was in on that. Talked about that 4,000. Okay, this
Starts on the
starts
back
down
page.
here, doesn't it?
Goes
Yeah.
on to the next.
Now that one, talked to Debbie about, we don't want to, the available funds he's talking about came from, what, compactor excess? And
It was a special article for the compact.
yeah, and we weren't told, excuse me, I didn't realize he was talking about putting it in stabilization.
No, I didn't either. When he came in, he was saying he wanted to transfer what was left in the special article. And I thought it meant to another article
Yeah,
to
I did
use. But this is to create a special stabilization fund. And to me,
I don't recommend it.
this is like you're sweeping up the crumbs of an old appropriation and trying to put it into a major stabilization account. What if every department, oh, my article's got some money left over, I want it in my stabilization account. I don't really think that that's the way you want to fund stabilization accounts.
He had a reason he wanted the money. I thought.
Well, for the things on his capital plan, which are out there somewhere. And this is just a minor, small amount that happens to be left over somewhere that he wants to start putting towards
Something
which,
else.
Which I
Like
don't,
a savings account is what he's trying to build.
I don't really
Yeah.
think you want to try to create that precedent of funding things that way. That's, if you want to put something in a special stabilization account and plan on funding something in a major way, then that's one thing. but just because there's money left over in an
You have to have a
article.
title, kinda.
So,
We did
So-
that for a fire truck
Yeah.
once.
fire
we said.
truck, but we had,
Right.
we had specific thing you were looking at.
Right.
This is
Yeah.
not specific.
Yeah,
It's just-
And it's not substantial.
You need some water?
It's,
no thanks, I'll be okay.
Yeah, okay.
Stop talking, maybe it'll help.
Never.
So I'm suggesting that we not recommend that.
That gives us more money in free cash. If it's left over, right?
Oh,
yeah, but if we close the article, yeah.
so we
Can we find about closing?
Okay,
it?
let's
Leftovers go, yeah,
say
go
that
to
one's
free
an
cash.
exception for now to these others, okay?
Okay, yeah.
And then we'll take it separately. All right, then,
oh,
the EMS debt service.
That's the ambulance, right?
Yeah, that's the pay, right? Now, these are your CPA articles, aren't they, Tony?
Yeah, now, I don't know why they did this, but, for R, S, T, U, and V.
Which one is that?
Those are all in one article last year. I don't know why they separated them out.
Oh,
I think it might just be to show us where it's going.
But it never wasn't that way last year. I mean, it would one.
one that
it said-
explained-
one
it.
article and listed all the
Yeah.
CPA.
One article and listed all.
I
all
think
of
that's
those
how
things.
the article will actually be written, I thought.
So why don't
Well,
I
that's
suggest
fine,
that?
but
Yeah.
I don't wanna have to get up there five
So,
But I can do it once.
So
These
basically-
are just references.
So
These are just
I can
references to
suggest
where
that
money's
the-
going.
those all be in one.
Yeah.
well, you're gonna
Yeah,
have
yeah.
P,
Well,
the first two
just
wouldn't.
just
Not the first two,
R.
R
R
through W.
No,
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 V.
R
No,
through
P.
V.
Start with P, isn't it, as CPA?
No, no,
No,
no,
but that's,
R,
No.
S,
those are
T.
separate. We got the town.
Oh, I see what
hall
you're
wiring
saying.
is separate, Northfield Elementary School playground, one is
Playground separate,
the
and you're saying,
commemorative plaque is separate,
R through U, right?
R
okay,
through V.
R through V.
okay, R through V should be,
Or
all
all, should all just one article.
right. Now, maybe, I don't know, these aren't numbered or anything, so I have got some articles, but you don't remember whether he put it all under one
I
or
think I
not?
mentioned it to Lily also.
I haven't seen
Okay.
the articles.
Okay, I
So
can
P
tell.
and Q are separate, according to you, Tony, right?
P and Q and W are,
Separate,
Separate.
okay.
those are three separate articles.
P, Q, and W,
W.
yes, okay,
Those will all be separate.
one article. Okay,
And here is another thing now, we do have a warrant article to raise the assessment from
you
half
think
a
you
percent.
have?
It was passed in.
I don't see it here though.
No.
Well, that,
No, it
that,
isn't.
we
It's
wouldn't
not-
Well,
like-
wait a
No,
minute.
no,
Well,
there's
but
money.
this
Yeah.
is only the ones that involve money.
Okay,
On
but
Money.
These are money,
appropriations.
don't we have, I mean, that does have some effect on finances, right?
Again, we'll probably go over that when we get the full,
No.
full vote. hopefully
I
next
got
week.
non-money articles too coming up
Well,
here.
it's non-money, yeah, I guess it's non-money, but it is gonna affect finances,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
so
well, at first
I
glance,
just
I
wanna
didn't
make
see
sure,
it.
make
And
sure
I
that doesn't
haven't,
get lost, that's all.
I haven't seen an article for stabilization funds either, and I turned in one. I turned it in every year blank, and then get it in time, so they have a placeholder, and then we wait to see. So
Okay.
I'll have to take another closer look, but at first glance, I didn't see it.
Yeah,
You-
well,
you
it's
did turn
there.
one in.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely there, and I talked to
Okay.
Billy and he said it's there, but,
Okay,
he didn't, and I also mentioned to him that, you know, those 5 ought to go into one,
yes,
so maybe when next time we come, it'll be that
when we
way.
meet
Well,
with,
well, this is just a chart of the money.
Yeah.
So it may well be.
yeah, that's right.
The format of the warrant isn't
Right.
this.
Okay, rec commission, what's this revolving fund, Debbie, is that,
Well, they have a revolving fund, the rec commission revolving fund under the statute that's specifically for rec commission revolving fund, but there's a dollar limit as to how much money is supposed to be in that.
okay,
They want to and they're over that because they have the playground program.
Yeah,
And they
Yes.
want to run the playground program as a separate revolving fund. So they're thinking of transferring it into one of the 53E&1/2 revolving funds,
yeah.
so that it will be its own revolving fund.
Oh,
Because the chapter 44, section 53D revolving fund controls the general recreation revolving fund. And they've got,
and you're okay with it then, doing that?
they want to take it out and put
Yeah.
it in another. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay,
That's in component.
Is this the summer playground program that they put on, or is this summer playground equipment
No, this is a program.
programs, and they
It would
get
be
paid.
nice if it said program in there, not just summer playground. 'Cause it sounds like to me, it sounds like playground equipment. Summer playground.
Yeah,
Revolving
again,
fund.
I think maybe the article, the way it's worded, would be different than this brief description, but.
And then the last page of that is totals, but that's changing, so. Okay. I would like to have a vote. Let's see, we didn't make any, yeah,
I would make a motion to we recommend all articles at this time except for N, which is the Board of Health Stabilization.
okay.
All articles.
Is that seconded?
Yeah, I'll second.
Oh,
Okay. Motion has been made and seconded that we recommend all articles on this listing except N. Is there further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
you may be
Okay.
referenced,
put money article or?
or you can
Yeah.
kind of propose capital articles with the date of 3/14.
That's identifying the list.
Yes.
Right, yeah, that's a good point.
Or referencing the draft number.
Now,
You
when
want to
when,
go through?
What date?
The date is, there was,
March what?
the draft is.
the draft date was March 5th, the receive date was 3/14.
Yep, exactly. Now, we did not recommend N. And,
I think that would require further discussion probably with the selectmen to see what they would
well,
want to do
they
with that.
probably
money.
won't,
They won't?
because
Board of Health is
they're an
independent.
elected board.
Oh, that's right,
But,
that's
but
right.
still, the selectmen control the warrant.
Yes, that's true.
They don't have to put anything on it, I
Yeah.
don't think.
That's true. They,
But-
okay,
but-
I can mention it.
But I think they could probably relay to the Board of Health that if neither the selectmen or the finance committee
The Board of
support
Health will
it.
come and say we asked to
Yeah.
pass it over or forget or whatever.
All right. Now, is there more that you want to say about this, Martha? While we're here, before we.
The only thing that just doesn't have is that $9,200 on it, correct? Or the nine-
Well, it does not have that on it. Okay, yeah, my brief spiel, and I'll try to keep it brief, about what this does and doesn't have. Okay, it doesn't have the $9,300 that we talked about earlier. It doesn't have anything for a COLA. I did calculate what a COLA could look like. At 2.5%, it would be 30,000. At 1%, it would be about 12,000.
Okay, why don't we talk about it right now?
Are you gonna talk
Well,
about
well,
COLA?
maybe can we go through my whole thing
Sure.
first and
Okay.
then go
No.
back?
Yeah?
Well, I'm sorry, because I'm just like want to, yeah,
Okay.
give the whole presentation
Oh, yeah.
of where
All
we're
right.
at. I'm sorry, Lois.
No, go
Is that
ahead.
fine?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
The other thing we don't have in here is tuition and transportation for vocational education, which I believe is pretty much likely to be something we need in there this year. We don't have an exact figure for it, but I looked back at what it cost last time and rounded it upwards to get a figure for the budget. So in lieu of anything more definitive, I would say we should put 40,000 in there.
Okay.
So that's not in there at this time.
Just to elaborate on that, if you know remember a few years ago we had
Right.
a family move to town.
Right.
This, I think, is somebody that's already living here. The student is going from the 8th grade into a technical school and wants something that's not offered at our tech school. And it has to go through the superintendent, and I called today and she said she has approved it.
So do we have that in the budget? Not the
saying no.
transportation is
She's
one,
gonna add that in.
but the actual education, right?
Both.
It's
We have to pay
tuition-
both.
Yeah, tuition and transportation, one figure.
Oh, so
in
you're
the
saying,
omnibus. I'm
you're
gonna
saying
put it-
$40,000 here?
Yeah,
That's-
I'm
okay.
gonna put that
Okay.
in the omnibus for the next time around.
Okay.
We already talked about what is in the omnibus for PBRS.
Yeah.
That may change, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I did talk with Lois and took the liberty of increasing the streetlights by $1,000 just because level funding seems
Even
like
with
it's.
all the changes we made, it's still going up and up.
yeah.
I'm
No,
amazed.
but those things are already in it, the
Yeah.
1,000 is. The things that aren't in it is the 9, the COLA, and the 40,000,
No, I
so.
meant the streetlights, with all the changes we made in the
Oh,
streetlights.
But she's put the
Keeps-
1,000 in here, yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah, she means what changes you've made with the.
yeah, we received it as level funded, and I remember asking at the time with electric rates. But they're going into there's an article for some, going into something in Northampton, isn't it? Some other electrical distribution or something, whatever. So, but I think, I'm glad you
The
did.
Hampshire Cog program, I'm just thinking, I was
I
just
think you're
looking
right.
at this current year's budget, and so we've added 1,000, so
Yeah,
that's in there.
Good, thank you.
So that brings the total to what it is on the model, except for the things that we just said that needed to
So
be
that's
in there.
80. If you just figure 30, 40,
Yeah,
91, yeah.
Yeah, that's down at the bottom. I've made a little note of what $1 is and what 80 is. It's like 17 cents roughly. The new growth that's in this model, we had information from Western Mass regarding the new growth. And it was verified with them that they're not making a mistake, that that's what they intend is the figure. So
Yeah.
with that being said, that's part of the reason, if we're going to get that, which I can't see why we wouldn't, we've included the new growth in there. That's how, partway why we have so much under the levy limit, because we've got that in there, and
Yeah.
that will modify any increases in other things to have new growth more than what we often
Yeah.
have.
We're usually conservative, but, and we are.
Yeah.
But that, where they've confirmed their figure, and they're pretty sure that they're gonna go ahead with that, we're safe enough using that, I
I
would say.
think so. I
Yeah.
mean, if they've confirmed that that's their figure,
Yeah,
and their figure is the 584, so we're using for new growth 600, which just is
yeah,
normal new growth is usually at least 50, so that's still a conservative figure. As if anything goes wrong with that now, I just can't see.
Well, there's no
I
other
can't
way
see-
we-
I can't see it happening.
no, I can't either. They verified.
If they
they've
verified
confirmed it, so we'll have to take their word for it.
The estimated local receipts, we've used what we had used last year in the recap, which is a conservative figure. Actual fiscal 17 was 617,000 without non-recurring, so we've got extra room in there to be safely conservative. The other great things are cherry sheet charges and cherry sheet receipts.
Yeah.
Which of course, those are based on the governor's budget, but we don't really know. But those aren't those aren't really big impact items, really.
I know, like the school is saying, well, we don't know what state aid is going to be. And so we've always made a conservative, well, we go with the governor's. If that changes upward, that's great. If it doesn't,
Well, actually, their state aid is more substantial than ours.
oh, of
really.
course,
Yeah.
a lot more.
So it's,
But I'm comfortable with
yeah,
the figure
and
you're
it's more
using.
variable too.
Yeah.
So ours is pretty stable.
Yeah,
And we've got a modest amount in there for overlay, which it should be fine. I
yeah,
don't see, and of course that isn't something that's voted, so that's something that's determined when the recap
Yeah.
is set. So if it needs to be more, it could probably be adjusted during the tax rate
Yeah.
setting process.
yeah.
Yeah, we've pretty much already talked about all the other things that we don't know. And that's where we're at. So by modifying the amount that we're under with stabilization and trying to get back to break even on the tax rate, I think is all doable.
Good.
I'm, just so I understand this, I think I understand this, that there's roughly $80,000 you talked about that isn't in here.
Right.
Okay. And down here you have $80,000 is about 17 cents.
Yeah,
So would that mean that the figure for the tax rate of 1680
would,
would be up by 17 cents, so it would be
right,
close to
right,
17?
yeah, I put those things in there that I talked about earlier, and then it would be closer to 1697.
Yeah, 1697, close to 17, okay. I
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure I
Yeah, sure.
understood that.
So we're talking that it goes down almost $1.
But that's with
Well, that's
nothing,
before we
that's
throw
with
anything
nothing,
stabilization.
Nothing for stabilization.
nothing in stabilization.
Yeah. All right, Debbie, thank you very much. We'll see what changes.
What changes by next week?
Yeah,
Can we theoretically talk about, I understand not wanting to increase the tax rate, and that's not what I'm asking, but I'm asking if we're theoretically at 1697, with the 80 that we're talking, can we philosophically say the rest available could go to stabilization? So can use what we can without going beyond the 1786. We're not looking to have to lower it a lot. We're looking to not go up. Do you understand
So
what
we
I'm
tried
trying to
to-
say?
Tried to do that last
actually,
year, right?
Before you get, yeah, I think what you're saying is that to try to come with a number that makes the tax rate,
not go up.
Not go up
Yeah.
currently.
but
from what
not,
it is.
not necessarily go down either.
Correct.
Yeah.
Although there's still potential for it to be going down if we have better,
If we have,
have better
Agreed,
results and
yeah,
so
but
forth.
we don't know all those things, because if we have the opportunity now to put more in, because we're talking a couple million for a building down the road.
Yeah.
And the one, even if we were up to 1.5 or 2, we're still gonna need more.
Yeah.
We're talking about a
Yeah.
lot of
So,
things.
I don't think
try to
we're-
make a model with the target being
Yeah.
level, even
Thank
on the
you.
tax rate.
Yeah.
Okay, but for doing that, the one thing that we didn't vote on is the COLA either.
That's
So
what I
that-
want to
that
talk
would
about
change-
next.
that
But
would
I
change.
figured the 30 for COLA, just so we're at the max, doesn't mean that's what it will be, but that comes up to the 80, so, okay.
Right,
okay,
Okay.
I guess you want to leave.
Yes, at this point, if you're talking COLA, I do have to leave.
Then we have a couple of other things
oh,
after.
do I have to leave?
Supposed to.
You don't-
I don't
Yes.
care if you
You do not
stay
vote.
and just don't talk.
You
Well,
don't
it's
know.
supposed to sit
Oh,
over there.
Well,
I will
actually,
just,
yeah, that's true, you're on the finance
Yes, I
committee.
have
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
she doesn't vote either.
You
yeah,
can't.
voting, but in the presence of being here, I do need to.
Okay, well, I'm thinking along the lines of 2.5 or 2%. My thought on the 2.5 is that some of the projections that you see and so forth and reading finance magazines or whatever talk about 2.5 cost of living adjustments and inflation rates. COG is going with 2%. Now, the other thing would be thinking in terms of, okay, 2%, then there's a lot of questioning going on about whether our pay scale is right or not, or whether we need to spend money and have a new study done that was done a few years back. It wasn't.
Quite a few years back.
Yeah,
quite a few.
Going over the job descriptions and setting. Now, we have the pay scale, and Debbie updates it each year by whatever we have for the COLA.
Mm-hmm.
So it's proportionately the same. But once in a while you're hearing, well, this position wants to have it reviewed and so forth. The first thing you know, it's a domino effect.
Mm-hmm.
So I was hoping, my thought behind saying 2.5 was, yeah, maybe really 2, but half more toward trying to help out with the fact that it would give them
Do you
a
know
little
what the
more.
teachers got?
No, I
what their
don't.
contract
They're in
is? Right.
in negotiations
What
right
was their
now.
old one? What did they get for this year's raise, do you know?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how long their contract is, so when it was negotiated. I don't think it's negotiated every year, but I know they always have one select board member from representing all 4
Right.
towns, and Tracy's the one this year.
I'm
So,
gonna go out on a limb and say our employees a lot of them have been with us a long time. This can be a very difficult town to work in, and for some of the people who have been here a long time, they've been through none, they've been through very low ones. I would like to look at 2.75. I'd like to look and say, we have a little bit of money. We're giving this, we're doing this, and if we have a little room to do it, I'd like to look at doing more.
and what percentage are you thinking?
2.75.
Oh, so the 2.75. I thought you were talking about 7.5.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. And I was really thinking 3, but that might be too much. So I'll lower it to 2.75. I would like to be able to get a rough estimate of those dollars because
Well, Debbie.
we got a lot of stuff going on in this town, and
Well,
it's hard to do.
yeah, probably that would, well, if 2.5 is 30
And 1 is 12.
and 1 is 12, then
Okay, so it's
then
3,
so a half is
33.
6. So 36, yeah.
Or
Yeah.
half,
Well, no, 7.5, right? Because you're
7.5, so she said 7.5,
Oh no, but that's
so it'd
only
be
a
33.
quarter. That's only a quarter,
Right,
right?
yeah.
33.
33. As opposed to 3.
Just a comment, you know that there are steps that takes
Right,
longevity into effect. When you say that a lot of people, they do get steps every, what, 3rd year?
Well, until you get to the top.
Right. And
Yeah.
then you have to have a special thing to go over.
Well, you know, that happens in a lot of
yeah.
agencies
Yeah.
and so forth. You max out because you haven't changed jobs or got promoted or
Right.
anything like that. You know that. All right, that's another figure put out.
So it's
Anybody else?
3,300, you're roughly guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
33,000.
32,000.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. 3,300, okay.
So, anybody else have any thoughts?
No, I think giving a fair increase to the employees, especially now where the job market is very good, there's a lot of places are making incentives to try to get because they're short of employees.
Yeah,
I think, like I said, we have a decent economy, and I think that probably a decent raise also to retain employees, because a lot of municipalities are now having difficulty retaining employees who are looking at other communities or whoever offers we have to try to at least stay competitive with other communities, because if we're not, we're going to have difficulty retaining good quality, loyal employees here. It's not asking for a great deal. Bonnie's not asking for a great deal here. I think that that's a fair, especially now that if they've had in the past, have had to not take pay raises. You know, if you had I don't know the history. You'll know it better than I do of what the, you know, what years you had salary increases, what years you had to take a zero or something.
We've had
when times were tough.
COLAs most of the time.
And some are very low though, but
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think most of the time
Yeah.
it was at least
Yeah.
something.
I think at least 2.5 is fine. 2.75 is not a significant increase over 2.5. I think that would show to the employees that like I said, the political authorities and ourselves do care about the employees. We want to retain them and try to be fair with them also, because again, it is a competitive environment. The economy's doing well, and I think that you know, a pat on the back is always appreciated in the law.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. This just moved. And I thought, what in the world?
Don't worry about it.
Sorry.
We don't mind telepathy over there.
Tony, any thoughts on the total?
The 275, I think sounds good, but, I'd also temper that with, a lot of taxpayers in the town too.
Yeah.
And I would be in favor of certainly lowering the tax rate, not going up to what it is, not keeping it steady, but lowering it also. I think those would have to go hand, to me, they'd have to go hand in hand. If we're gonna get 275 for employees, and then taxpayers gonna get something here, and by, you know, if it means not putting as much into stabilization as we might, that's, I mean, we're at a historic place as far as stabilization right now.
Yeah, okay.
And, you know, fine, we get more, but I kind of see those going together too. You know, I'd like to lower the tax rate and give the 275 to the employees.
And do both.
Do both, yeah, do both, not, I don't want to,
By cutting
be hung
back.
up and so much as to, you know, we won't lower the tax rate. Well, let's lower the tax rate some too, if we're gonna raise it.
But I think if you look over the tax bills that people divide out the $3,300 could only be a very small amount.
The people did complain this year. There were people complaining about the tax bills this year.
Oh, absolutely, because there was no warning. They thought it was going to be this, and not because we did anything wrong. It's because we lost stuff, and everybody had to pay that bill.
Yeah, it fell on the homeowners.
So I don't have any problem with the 275.
Okay. All right. And when we get to the final stages to talk about stabilization, that's when we'll consider what's going in. So, where do you have?
275 sounds
Okay.
reasonable.
Is that a motion?
I move the motion to 275,
For the-
2.75
For the COLA.
COLA. Right.
I second that motion by Bonnie.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is Dan out there? He can come back if he wants. Okay. All right, you got that?
Yeah.
Okay. He is out. Shall we tell him or not?
It's not official yet.
We didn't admit it.
Okay.
We took away 2.5.
It was 10%?
Yeah.
In your
I thought it was 75%. Ooh, no, 70.
Thank you. I'll leave more often.
All right. I was going to go over this a little bit. This is proposed policy articles. Because I asked after just getting, all right, I said the warrant isn't prepared yet. And I wanted something. So what I got first was what I call money articles. Then I said I'd like to see others. I know we have to have some boilerplate ones in there about okay, you can file for grants and all that
Right.
stuff. But I wanted to know what other ones, like you're talking about, the 1%, and so forth. So let me just tell you there's a listing here of these that I'd like to go over with you. And the Finance Committee can weigh in on anything that's being presented at town meeting. We have traditionally gone with the money articles, but if there's anything else, anything, we can weigh in on it. Now, the first thing, and maybe we'll ask Beth for a little information, amending the tax exempt requirements is the
Tax
detail.
what?
This article seeks to
exempt.
requirement.
Oh, yeah.
This article seeks to amend tax exempt requirements by changing the residency of veterans with some connected disabilities from 5 years and or 6 months to 1 year and or 6 months. Now that's requiring to be here a certain number of years before they're eligible for.
So veterans with a service-connected disability, like 10% rating or more, are eligible for $400, but if you're 100% disabled, it's $1,000 off. So part of the requirements is you've had to have lived in Massachusetts 6 months before enlisting or 5 years after, but in Northfield or Massachusetts. We have a few people I've seen in the last few years who had 100% disability who haven't been able to participate until 5 years they've lived in Northfield. So we just thought if we could help out.
So this is something the town is gonna do above and beyond?
Not, it's just changing it from,
So we have the ability, the town has the ability to change that time
yeah, we
period?
just have to vote on it,
Oh,
the
okay.
standard, yeah.
Okay,
It's a local option.
Yes,
Correct.
okay, that's, yeah,
the right term,
yeah.
yes.
the draft article here says, see if the town will vote to change residency requirements similar to what they expect. Residential tax exemptions pursuant, and it gives the general law reference, by changing requirements for veterans with some connected disabilities from 5 years and or 6 months to 1 year and or 6 months, or take any other action. Now the explanation is, and this concerns me, this article requests changes to the residency requirements because the current requirements are affecting participation in the exemption program for current and future town residents.
Right, so if we were to get someone to move into town, like,
Okay, all right.
What concerns you about it?
Well, the future, but I guess the more, as I read it now, I guess, all right,
Right,
somebody
if you
moves.
got the rule, it
They-
goes to the future.
Yeah, they move in, and so.
And you all are asking for that.
correct.
So that's, in a way, that's money.
It's from 400 to 1,000?
No, the money's not changing, it's just the requirement.
How many
Yeah,
years
it's-
you have to be a
Right, yeah.
resident?
Well,
Yeah.
when I say money, I mean that exemption means it affects their taxes that they're gonna be paying to the
Yeah,
town.
so it's based on their disability rating, so 10%
Yeah,
to 99 is 400, and if you're 100%, it's 1,000.
Right.
yeah. So would we like to take a position on that, whether we support that
Just a
article or
quick
not?
question, how many veterans do we have that are made use of this tax benefit?
I'd say maybe 20.
Maybe
Hmm.
20? Well,
Does that come out of the overlay? Not the overlay, the surplus, whatever
Yeah,
that is? Yeah. So the money's already there theoretically.
Well, theoretically, yeah, but
It's
it's
not gonna add any 20,000 on the bottom line of our omnibus. Not omnibus, but more money.
No, we
They already
wouldn't.
got it.
I mean, I think
I mean-
maybe I get one,
Yeah, so.
I mean, maybe one a year, like somebody new, but not.
I recommend that we support it.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to support the exemption article.
Beth, could you tell me a little more, fuzzy still on the residency, the 6 months, the 1 year, what do those refer to?
For the veterans, 6 months before they enlisted, or 5 years in Massachusetts afterwards. So they have to have some sort of residency in Massachusetts before they can claim this
Okay, so
exemption.
6 months before, 1 year, you're saying you want to move it to 1 year.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
5 to 1.
Yeah, 5 to 1.
After
Okay,
they become,
all right,
you know.
thank you.
Okay. All in favor? I guess we did that.
No, we
No,
didn't vote on it.
we seconded it.
Yep.
We'll do the, we have to.
Now we're gonna vote on it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Okay. All right. Another one is electrical aggregation. That allows the Board of Selectmen to initiate electrical aggregation. And that's, there's a general law appropriate to this. And to enter into agreements for services to facilitate the purchase of electric energy and other related services, and so forth. The Commonwealth has established a competitive marketplace, so forth. This would allow the select board to go into something like that, and I think they've been approached in the past. I don't know whether we want to. It's not one that we have to go in on. If anybody, does anybody want to go make a vote on that, or just let it go?
Yeah, it's up to the select board.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would say. That one is.
Yeah.
The next one is, this one I'll talk about. You will too. Establish a Parks Committee Stabilization Fund. Establishing a stabilization fund for future appropriation regarding the town park. First of all, we don't even have any land for a town park. Some time ago, when this was first given to the administrator, he contacted me for some sort of an opinion, and I said, this is not our jurisdiction. First should go, select board has the right to decide what articles go on a warrant. Now this, I don't think this is appropriate for a stabilization fund. We've talked about this. Stabilization fund requires a town meeting to put money into it, requires a town meeting to take money out of it. And let me see what else.
Now, you were just saying this was for future appropriation. My understanding was it was for donations. And
That's what I thought.
donations don't go in the stabilization.
No.
But a future appropriation, then what creates it is the appropriation.
Correct, so it's really not.
So it's like, unless you're gonna appropriate money to it, then you're not creating it.
Yeah.
And part of the
Okay.
argument always is.
I was told that it was, like you said, for
Well, I've
a
only.
vehicle for collecting donations or whatever people wanted to put into it.
Well, stabilization isn't a vehicle for
No.
collecting donations.
No. And we're not making any appropriation at this time for community park. So I
I
don't
think the
think,
argument is, though, on the other side from them, is we can never look for a place because we don't have any money. So if we
Well-
come and find something, it takes time to get it. So I think their philosophy is it's like a separate savings account.
Right.
But my thought is that if we can build our stabilization account enough that something comes along, you might be able to do it.
it's very controversial, Bonnie, about whether we need a community park or
I
not.
understand that.
So
The
it
town
isn't
will
just
vote.
sliding an article in like this that would provide for it for the
I'm not
future.
saying it goes into a special, and what I'm saying is, I think that's why they keep coming back, because their thought is, there's no sense in us looking, because we have no money to do anything. So
Yeah.
it's just like buying a fire truck.
Mhm.
You have an idea of what it's costing you, but you can't even go and say, I wanna buy that fire truck from you, Dan, because I have no money. You've gotta have something there that you can draw on, and I think that's their philosophy. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I think that's one of the
I-
reasons is to build stabilization.
Well, I think as this is now, let's see what the way the article reads.
I'm not in favor of it, I'm just saying
No,
that's,
no.
I think that's what they wanna do, and why they wanna do it that way.
The article, the way it's written, is to see if we'll vote to establish a special stabilization fund pursuant to the Mass General Law for the
I think-
purpose of creating and constructing a community park. And so I think I would like to say no on the article.
I think, they sort of approached the Community Preservation Committee about that, wanting to get some money towards that.
Yeah,
And this sounds like almost the same thing. I mean, if Community Preservation Committee, if we voted money for that, it would sit in there and it would be,
Yeah.
Right,
it
if
came. So
you voted money for it, but
Yeah.
if this article has no money attached to it, then it's not creating anything.
so sometime in the future, if they wanted to ask about CPA money, another year or something, that might be something you
Or if they wanted to ask for an appropriation, that would create a stabilization fund. But
Because
to
you
create
create
a
the
fund
state,
that
Right.
doesn't have any money, it doesn't create it.
no.
You can't open a savings account unless you put money
no
in.
money.
Right.
It can,
Right.
minimum of $10. So you have to have something to put in the
I
account
think we
where it
don't do
open it.
anything. We
Same
don't-
thing.
Yeah,
If
I
we're asked
I
for
had heard
opinion,
that
we
they,
just
I
have
had
no
heard
opinion.
that they expected
Yeah,
that
no
donations
opinion.
could go
Yeah.
into it, and that's not
You can just save it.
the
Well-
case for a stabilization account. Donations don't go into
No.
By saying no
stabilization.
opinion though, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well,
I'd
basically,
say no opinion.
yes, I would
Well,
like to
I
see
would
them.
rather say no, because if it's an article that doesn't work,
Yeah,
then I don't want to say, well, where's my stabilization account? Well, what's stabilization account? It's not gonna be on the town books if it doesn't have any money.
no.
And it's not gonna be a vehicle for accepting donations.
Yeah, that's
So,
my
so
point.
if it's not creating anything, then we
And you're
shouldn't
sure
have
they
the
didn't
article.
ask for any money? They just wanted to create it, right?
The way it sounds, yeah.
If there's no money requested, then I would say no. I would move that we say no. If there's no money been requested, I would say we say no.
I would agree with that.
Okay, then.
So we got a motion, it was made and seconded. Is there any further, to say no on this one?
Real quick question, I just have a quick question. I know that there's been talk in the town of doing a park. Is there realistically, do we have any land that's
No.
anywhere
See,
available? I mean,
if-
that's where I'm asking, was I'm newer to the town. I didn't, is there anything
Yeah,
available?
basically,
or
if there
realistic?
was a specific plot of land that they were looking at, and they knew approximately what it would cost, but they don't have the money to do it, then you would probably create a stabilization fund over a period of years to pay for that if they wanted to do that, and work with the owner. But with just trying to create a pot of money and say, oh, we got $100,000 here, let's go out and buy some
They're
land.
not even doing that.
I know.
Yeah.
So it's really, there's really nothing.
No.
Well, I'm just saying, is it realistic
To
to
support
any
that.
available land?
There
They've been
has
looking
been-
for many
there has
years, I
been
think.
plans around at different times, but it's never come to fruition
Yeah.
to come and ask the town for any money.
Okay.
Beth,
So,
you want to
egg
comment?
for the chicken before the egg.
Well, I know that they've been there's different groups that have been taking inventory of chapter land. So in the event that chapter land ever were to go for sale, the town has first right of refusal.
Yeah,
So I know sometimes they're watching.
Well, if that happens, then they have a specific goal as far as doing that, and the town could step up to the plate and say, yes, we will purchase that, and it will be then used as park.
But we don't know enough. I mean, I'm agreeing with Debbie saying if they haven't asked for, that's why my motion was, I vote no as long as they haven't asked for any money.
it isn't appropriate to have this article.
Right, and that's why it's not appropriate accounting practice to have it sitting there with nothing in it.
On the
If,
gift.
if somebody wants an account, Debbie does have gift accounts
Well,
for donations to EMTs, for,
basically a gift account, though, it should be accepted and expended with the permission of the select board.
yes.
But for something big like this, I almost find that problematic too, because
Yeah.
if you're going out soliciting donations of $100 a piece from people for a $500,000 park that never gets
Yeah.
created,
Yeah, that's not
Just-
good.
You know, people
No.
are gonna be like, well, I gave all my money to that, it will sit there forever.
Yeah, so we won't suggest
So I
anything
don't,
like
so
that.
I really don't know how you would fund something like that, other than through a big committed effort of the town.
Yeah. All
One other
right.
question.
And,
Go ahead,
and maybe
Tom.
donations in concert with something that was actually imminently happening.
Yeah.
But at this point, I'd say donations are premature.
Okay.
Now, if it makes it on the warrant,
Well,
There's-
what we're saying is it
we're
shouldn't
saying
go
it
on.
shouldn't
the
go on
warrant.
the warrant, but if it was, selectmen put it on for
Mm-hmm.
some reason with no money, then is it possible for something from the floor to put money onto that? That's the question I want to know.
The
Well-
warrant,
Already in
the
scope.
warrant wouldn't have forewarned the people that there was money attached to it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
probably the
Beyond the scope.
moderator
I
would
just,
let you.
I just want to make sure
Yeah,
that that was
I
the
got
case.
it.
But my motion was that the finance committee doesn't support the article. I didn't realize you were asking whether we were wanting to put the article on the warrant. I don't think we have any authority then.
No, we don't.
No,
So-
that's the
Just
select
our
board's
opinion.
decision.
Right.
What, yeah, by saying this, what we're in effect is saying, well, all right.
We're not in
So
favor.
let's vote on it then.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstain. Okay, so we are not recommending it, and that word will go to the select board when we meet with them. Okay, there's an article to change the annual town meeting date to Saturdays?
Can you read what it is, please?
Yeah.
But I kind of had a
What's the next one? Okay, the article would read, to see if the town will vote to establish the annual town meeting of the town to be held on the last Saturday in April each year at 9 a.m., beginning with the next annual meeting in April of 2019, pursuant to the provisions contained in Mass General Law, Chapter 39, Section 9, as amended, requested by the Council on Aging. And the explanation, seek to change the date and time from the first Monday in May at 7 p.m. to the last Saturday in April at 9 a.m., so as to allow a significant population of the town the ability to participate in our town's civic functions. I don't care if we weigh in on it or not, really.
I would let the citizens decide on that one, because
Yeah.
basically, you're going to gain the older population and you're going to lose the younger population. So it's basically.
Well, there was an argument the other way,
Yeah.
not the other way, but we gained both. My idea is that if you increase anybody coming to town meeting, let's go for it. I don't care if they're older or younger, in between or whatever.
Well,
Whatever you can do.
but I'd have to think, you gain some and you're losing.
Use some, yeah.
This
The thing with that, though, the only thing that worries me is, as far as that, is that we're pushing the town meeting further, we're not getting all the information we need now.
Yeah.
So we're pushing it another, week closer
That's true.
for
Would
deliberation.
that amendment be accepted on the floor, do you think, if it was asked to be the first Saturday in May rather than, that would give another week?
Yeah, that'd be up
With
to
an
the moderator
explanation of
whether
why?
they make that change. The way it stands now, it was a vote several years ago to change it to the first Monday in May,
Right.
and the election to be the first first Tuesday following the first Monday, because there was a problem years ago. If you weren't running for re-election, you didn't bother to come, and your knowledge was needed.
Right.
And so that's why they made sure the election follows the town meeting. And this doesn't say anything about the election. Of course,
They actually almost had it the Friday before. They almost put the election before and I kind of caught it, before the town meeting, which that would have been even more
yeah,
of a problem.
yeah.
So.
But as you say, we're having trouble now trying to get everything done, coordinated in time. We wanted to finish up by, April 1st.
And having it
or
on
so.
Saturday is not a problem. I was almost, if you're going to do it, move it further into May even, and then have your elections even further into May,
Yeah.
because then we'd have more time to get this from the school, from the state. But
Yeah.
let's see how it plays out. There was a survey that I still have in my office that overwhelmingly wanted to have it on a Saturday. But nobody followed through. Oh, I guess they did. They put it on the.
They voted no.
They put, yeah, because what happened is, okay, people that came were not the same people who would come on a Saturday. So
Yeah.
it's
A few
kind of
years
like
ago,
catch-22.
there was something brought up about this
Do it
too.
on a Tuesday night.
But we'll leave that for select board too.
Do we want to make a suggestion that maybe it be moved into May rather than a week earlier?
And
Do
that
we
we could-
want to make that recommendation?
Instead of it
or
being in
was-
April, make it May.
the first Saturday in May.
But then it would be,
The election might be weird. Tuesday might be coming.
Well, let's see.
Yeah.
How would that work? If for some reason Monday was the first, and Tuesday was it the second Tuesday that is the election?
No,
right?
election is the first Tuesday following the first Monday.
Okay, so
So it
you
could
could
be
you could have a problem with that, because you could actually have your first Saturday after the election.
Could we just say the first election?
I would
First
say-
Tuesday after the first Saturday. You could-
Oh, we're
No,
not
no,
changing
no,
the
but
election.
that's not part of the
Right,
the
it's
thing
only
as
the
far as
town
doing
meeting.
that. So
No. Well,
Anyway, I could.
But you know what? To be honest with you, I think if you give us an extra week, everybody will end up being slower.
yeah, they'll take it.
We've had the same deadlines for a long time.
but you know that they started off with where is it? It was back in
So,
February,
won't
then it
make
went
any
to
difference.
April, then it went to May.
Yeah, it won't
So
make any
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, of course, many
So
years ago, all towns had Saturdays, and some group put on a luncheon and all that sort of thing. But okay, we're not
it
going to
would
take a
all day
position.
instead of just a few hours.
Yes, it was then too.
Yeah.
sometimes 2 days.
We're not going to take a position. This is up to the select board about putting it on. Okay.
It's going to be on, I believe.
Yeah, oh, I would think so, yes. All right. Changing a national holiday.
Huh? How can you change the national holiday?
You can't.
Change the name of it.
You can't.
Change,
Wow.
what's that, change the national holiday?
Can't. You can't do. But that's
Columbus Day to Indigenous
Oh,
Peoples
Indigenous,
Day.
But that's a federal.
There's a federal thing. You
jurisdiction,
can't do
that's
that. You have no jurisdiction.
Second, designate the second Monday in October as Indigenous Peoples' Day instead of Columbus Day, and be recognized as such on all official town business, calendars, websites, minutes, announcement, social media, and other communications, or take any other action. And this is a petition, so it'll be on.
Yeah.
Whatever. Eminent domain. This article seeks to grant the Board of Selectmen authority to acquire the parcel of land where the emergency services facility, this is the
Yes. that's right.
The
legalities
legality
involved.
that they have to do.
Cleaning up that
yeah, clean it
article.
up. I think we should
Yeah,
be obviously in favor of that.
yeah. I don't think we need to
Yeah.
comment. Okay, next is municipalities that accept this section. It's given, emergency medical service providers employed by the town are guaranteed leave with no loss of pay if they sustain disabling injuries as a result of their duties. This is something that some towns are passing, I guess. It's an insurance thing, and I think it's probably a good thing, but so I don't know if you want to weigh in on it or say anything or let the selectmen handle that.
I don't know.
We don't have the details and stuff, but so all right. Establishing a historical bylaw seeks to have the Northfield Historical Commission included among the list of signatories of local compliance and the departments, boards, and commissions involved in the building permit process. I don't care if we don't need to address
No,
that.
we don't need to address that. It's getting
No.
into a lot of areas
Okay.
we don't want to get into.
Home rule petition seeks to authorize the selectmen to petition the general courts for special legislation that would allow the fire chief to work beyond the age restrictions prescribed in the law. Okay, that I can I don't think we need to get in on that either. That's administrative type thing, it's like board. I think that, anyway, we don't need anybody want any more on that. I think it's covering
No,
one person, which is all right. Solar pilot. Request voters to grant the selectmen the authority to go into a 20-year tax agreement with a solar photovoltaic energy generating facility. That's the Board of Assessors.
Yeah, just in case there's any other solar field opportunities that come into town.
You want to exempt them or what?
Not exempt, but if you go into some sort of pilot with them, because the solar panels, the value increases substantially every year. So if you were to come to some agreement, some payment in lieu of taxes, you probably benefit better than if you're only to get it based on personal property with the appreciation.
I don't think we need to weigh in.
No. Okay. And then our contingency article is listed there. Now that has got to be preceding the omnibus, so it's just, that's our article, and it's,
That's just an
Me
order
first.
thing, we don't
Yeah.
need to.
No.
no,
You
so
can
we
just
need
say-
to
Want to
make,
make sure
yeah.
it goes into.
I've got to make sure he gets it in the right place.
Yeah, you don't want to put the fact.
All right, before omnibus. And the wording of it is changed from what we've had, and what we've had has been approved by town council and tweaked at different times, so that concerns me a little bit, but I'll talk about that later. Don't need to worry about it right here. All right, now, you don't see stabilization in there. You don't see yours for 1% for the CPA.
But you know, he told you he didn't have everything in.
Yeah, that's probably a draft.
Yeah, it says draft all over.
When
It's
when
not
was
any
that,
kind of.
when was that, is there a date on that?
He just sent it to me this weekend. Yesterday.
So you do have a date on there, but it's right here,
Should be
3/20.
3/20. There you go.
That's when you printed it.
Yeah. So
The
17th
articles
was-
were due
That's tomorrow,
February
isn't it?
27th.
What's today? Today's the 19th.
Follow
So it's got
up.
tomorrow's date on it.
Not listed on
Well,
it.
you
That's
have
probably going to
to,
select board that day.
Yes, that's probably why.
the article was put in, that warrant article was put in the day before it was due, which is 26th of February, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Since the 27th was the last day. So that should be on there.
Well, again,
So maybe that is
But he told you
incomplete.
specifically he didn't have it ready, but you said you wanted something, so I think he sent you what he had. It doesn't mean it's done.
Really? He didn't tell me that. He didn't tell me either way.
so
I wouldn't,
I would.
I don't
antici-
take that as the warrant. by any-
Okay.
I would anticipate next Monday having everything ready, though.
Well, the thing is, I can't keep getting this stuff in dribs and drabs. If we're going to finish up the budget and know what, of course, these apparently would not be money articles, I would guess. But we have to have something, some ending time to stop meeting, stop having these things coming in. So I turned in the 3 that usually I have to turn in, the one for the omnibus, and Debbie fills in all the figures and stuff. I turned in that one, that's our contingency article, and I turned in a placeholder for the stabilization. And yours is that. Anybody know of any others that are not here yet?
My question I have is, I know it was turned in.
Well,
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about it.
rather than
And
I
get-
think we're getting
If we
worked
have
up.
to,
Right.
For
if we
no
have
reason.
to vote on it,
It will be in there.
But
do
again,
we
that's
wait
a
till
policy.
the next meeting?
I think yes. Yes,
It will be
he's
in
in
there. I mean,
conferences this week as far as doing. He's not going to be around this week, so I would anticipate having most of this or all of it done by the 26th is our next meeting.
How do we know if there aren't others coming in? I mean,
Well, the key is,
I mean-
he's available here to ask him, and
he's not here though.
I
that's
know
it.
this
Okay,
I mean,
so,
Well, basically, I think if the money articles can be wrapped up, the policy articles typically aren't complete. Even in other years, they haven't been in time for your budget to be complete.
I think
Well-
the things we have to weigh in are, we know.
the select board will have
is
to
in
deal with
charge.
it.
yeah,
They're in
we'll
charge,
deal
it's
with
not
it.
our purview.
Yeah.
So, okay, so the situation is this, the select board meets tomorrow night. They haven't had everything in time to get it on the agenda either. So they are going to meet
Thursday also.
Thursday as well for a short time and take up the rest of the things they need to take up before town meeting. Now, he's not here, so how are they gonna get the things they need?
It's not our purview to worry about those.
Well, I
It's
know,
theirs.
but if some of them need to go to them and then us, then what? So, all right, but then they are coming to meet with us next week, Monday night,
Monday.
supposedly to go over and finalize recommendations on the budget and on articles. So that's where we stand on this. Just to update on things, you mentioned Alexander Hall already, that we're dropping that. And I've told you about all I know so far on the PBRS. Last meeting, I mentioned that there had been an offer from the town of Acushnet, donate ambulance, or two, I guess one was just for parts. But it's the town, the EMS has determined they don't think it'd be suitable. It would be the box that would have been appropriate for advanced life support. And then maybe it would have had to have a new chassis someday under it and so forth. But anyway, that's their choice, so just wanted to clarify that. Any other, you talked about the emergency facility. You haven't had any other meeting on, we're up to date on CPA, right?
Yeah, we're up to date.
Okay. I don't know if does anybody have anything else that we should be taking up? I haven't got anything else on the agenda.
I move we adjourn.
Make a
I
motion.
move we adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay,
But we're meeting next Monday, right?
all right, meeting is adjourned at 8:16. Thank you.
Aye.